Okay. I'll leave the music playing pretty quietly in the background there. Um, so yeah, I just realized I'm still in the Sonic Adventure 2 part. We're gonna fix that. Gonna go ahead and set ourselves to the Mega Collection here for tonight. Alright, yeah, we've got quite the conundrum tonight, unfortunately. So, upon testing of the good ol' PC port of 3D Blast, and I will admit, I got it functioning just fine, everything works. The issue is that the soundtrack is entirely jumbled. And the soundtrack is the main reason we were doing the PC version. Songs just play at the wrong time constantly throughout the soundtrack. The final boss theme plays during all of the special stages. Like, I don't understand how that can even happen. And the actual final boss plays the first level theme. So, you know, whatever. I made a straw poll about what to do. It only really got 1 vote, but I mean, whatever. Get an Extra Life Panic Puppet Act 2. Yeah, exactly. I made a straw poll asking what I should do, and I talked it over with my moderators a little bit, and I decided we're going to go ahead and stream the Genesis version of the game. And I'm going to add the Saturn version of the game to the follower goals, and if that gets met at any point, I will order the little adapter I need to stream the Saturn version. And I think that's a pretty fair compromise, because the PC port is just broken nowadays. Granted, Sonic ports are no stranger to fucking up the music, so I'm not really super surprised. But yeah, I guess we can get started here. Go ahead and hit that. We are actually on the Xbox 360 today. This is the first of probably a couple times we'll be on this console. This console is one that I have a lot of good memories with. And it's sad that nowadays it's literally, like, every time I turn it on, it's begging me, hey, buy an Xbox One. And I'm like, hey, no. Did 2 things earlier. One was watching your playthrough Castlevania The Adventure. Oh, wonderful. I found out today that the second half of that thing, its audio was all kinds of fucked up. Not really sure how that happened. Everything just is, like, delayed super hard. So, you know, whatever. It's Adventure. I'm not really sure anyone's really all that upset about it. I might go back and try to fix that later. Maybe. But that requires an awful lot of render time for something that is an actively bad experience. Basically, through the second half of Stage 2, all throughout Stage 3, audio fixed itself at Stage 4. That's good. I didn't watch that far. I just went in to check it myself. I guess we can talk a little bit about the extra content here while we're waiting for some more people to show up. Yeah, this collection has some of the issues of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I think is, like, really cool. It doesn't have full issues, it just has the covers. I'm not really sure. How do you scroll between them? Like that. There we go. I don't think there's any way to read anything out of this. So used to the original Mega Collection, is much more like the Gems Collection in terms of visuals. I've never played the original Mega Collection. Anyways, we got a bunch of illustrations here. Sonic's modern design, Tails's, Knuckles', Eggman's, other characters, Amy. Hey, there's our boy. It's Chaos. You're watching your aunt play Tomb Raider while you watch? That sounds like fun. Hello, Jacob's aunt. Okay, let's get started here. This has more illustrations. Yeah, it's got a bunch of nice stuff in it. It's also got a bunch of games that I haven't unlocked on this version yet because their unlock conditions are actually kind of stupid. But yeah, so this is Sonic 3D Blast. People don't tend to like this one all too much. People tend to think this one's actually terrible. And I'm here to defend the first half of it. The other thing you did earlier was play Castlevania 4. Ooh, did you enjoy it? The game is wonderful. You're at stage 10! Oh, wow. That's actually, like, really far. Yeah, oh, I should probably mute this TV. That game is very welcoming for newcomers because the first half of the game is fairly easy in comparison to the rest of the franchise. Looking at you, Castlevania 3. I don't think there's anything we need to change on this menu. Oh yeah, this is like the first Sonic game on Genesis with like a cutscene. So yeah, Eggman wants the Chaos Emeralds. That basically sums it up. Last time I played it was years ago. I think I got to stage 7, little did I know that the next stage would be such a difficulty spike. Right? That game starts spiking really hard later, but honestly, it's all still pretty good. Anyways, so yeah, this is Slip and Slide the video game. I mean Sonic 3D Blast. The Genesis version of this game is just... I shit-talk it a lot, and that's because it kind of deserves it. It's so clearly an inferior version to the Saturn version that I'm amazed they released it. Could you imagine a world where the Genesis version of this game never released, what these collections would have looked like? Maybe Sega would have, like, tried to make a Saturn emulator. Or maybe they would have just excluded it from everything like they did Knuckles Chaotix. Man, the world may never know what they were gonna do. She's fighting a jaguar? That sounds like Tomb Raider. I played very little Tomb Raider in my life. Anyways, we have our first special stage coming up right now. The special stages in this game, you touch either Knuckles or Tails, you give them your rings, and they take you into the special stage. And these special stages are actively kind of terrible. The ones in the Saturn version are, like, actually full 3D, and they're really cool. Oh boy, collect 150 rings. How would I ever do that? There we go. The game Castlevania 4 seems far more generous than the NES ones were, not to mention the whip upgrade system basically gets you full power into 30 seconds. Yeah, it's really nice. Oh, I did not mean to give him more rings. You can pile rings onto Knuckles all you want. he won't take you back. The only way to go back in is to find Tails and give it to him, but whichever one you do first takes you to the Emerald Challenge. The other one is just one-up challenges. And this game has multiple types of shields, like we saw in Sonic 3. Most of them don't really have special kind of jumps, except for this sort of yellow one here. Where's an enemy? There's one. It homing attacks. It's the first instance of a homing attack in the series, I'm pretty sure. Can't say for certain whether or not this was what influenced the Sonic Adventure devs to add it, but it's definitely it definitely could have played a part. So like how you kind of Tails and Knuckles steal your rings, like you don't need all 50 at once. You rarely ever use that, but still, that is neat. It especially pays off for the later levels that are, like, this game has quite the difficulty spike, I will say, in comparison to other Genesis Sonic games. Which is why I am 100% going after 1-ups in this playthrough, because I don't want us to get, you know, fucked up later. These medals apparently contribute to earning 1-ups, but I'm not really sure how. The Saturn version has a display that tells you how many medals you have, but I'm not really sure what they do otherwise. The difficulty spike being the very next zone. I'm a little more generous on that. I'd say that the difficulty spike is like the zone after. The next zone is brutal, though. It's hard to say whether or not the difficulty spike is, like, intentional or just a product of bad design. It could go either way. This game isn't super well-loved, so, if you get 10 of those Sonic heads, you get a continue. That would explain it. They show up, like, really rarely later. Like, early on here, there's a lot of them in this first zone, but later, you know, you don't really see a whole lot of them. Oh, shit. It's the 5th bird. So yeah, the goal of each level, collect all 5 birds, and then go to the end. The end is these rings, and then you slam dunk the birds into the thing. I believe that would be our 10th, it sounds like, because that sounded like the continue noise. There we go, end of stage 1. We're just gonna go ahead and make a save here. I haven't played the Xbox version of this a whole lot. I grew up with the PS2 version of this collection, and my disc got, like, really fucked up, and then my parents found this version of the game at, like, a thrift store and bought it for me, and were like, hey, did you want this? And I was like, yes, give that to me. It was, very nice of them, I will say. Something that has always bugged me with this game's hard limit of 9 lives. Very few other Sonic games had such a restriction. I did not know that. I knew it didn't display past 9, but I rarely ever get that high, so... As far as I know, this game doesn't have, like, a life 1-up box, does it? It's worth mentioning, spin dashing is the easiest way to defeat enemies. It just completely gets rid of your hitbox for damage entirely, basically. Unless you, like, spin dash into a spike. It does. I have not seen one ever in any of my playthroughs. Does this wall have, like, a hole? One of the walls in this stage has a hole in it. I know that much. Playing this with, like, an actual joystick feels weird. because I'm used to playing this with whatever the fuck the 3D Saturn controller has. Whatever you want to call that, the nub. It's the 3D Saturn controller has a nub. There's one in this zone behind a cracked wall. Oh. Well then, we'll perhaps see it. Is it in the first section or like the next one or what? There we go. Hey, it's my friend Nipples. We're gonna make a save here for the special stage. Oh shit, what is even happening? Alright, we're trying that again. Jeez, man, that jump does not feel good. These special stages are actually awful. I mean, they're pretty easy once you get the hang of them, but like, man, these aren't very good. Oops. Believe the next section? Okay. There we go. There is a reason we're going after these. Like all the other games where we intentionally went after finishing these, there is a true final boss to be unlocked from these. The only special stage you can think of where you kind of can die is Advance 2. Also, Tails' first special stage has a jump very similar to the awful one, hardest jump in the special stages. That's really weird. Okay. Moving on. Don't need to go back and see Nipples. Whew. I have no idea what happened there. The audio emulation just decided, nah, not today. Something that helps to know, this version does not have 1 emerald per act restriction that other versions have. What? Wait, so I can give Tails money and he'll take me to another emerald? Why? We will try that if we can find Tails here. Is this the cracked wall area? You can have all emeralds by Rusty Ruin 2. That's very exciting, the idea of doing that. Hey, there's Tails. We won't be giving him his money just yet. I want to, like, actually get all of it. And again, we'll be save stating right here. Yeah, no, this is the 3rd special stage. Holy shit. Yeah, holy shit! What? That is, 3 emeralds. Wow. I did not know that. Why is it like that? Honestly, getting all emeralds in this game is still really hard. Even with that. Because getting to Tails in Rusty Ruins is not fun. Not to mention getting to Knuckles. Okay. It's quite the contrast to Saturn PC versions where you can have all emeralds in them is Diamond Dust. Yeah. Which, like, let's face it, with the way that game is designed, you will not have all of them by that point. And if you don't, you're gonna be screwed, basically, because all the levels after that are even harder. We've got another one of these, and got a 1-up. There we go. I don't know where I am currently. It just sort of launched me somewhere. There's a reason the Saturn and PC versions have a map. Okay, it launched me back into the first half of this level. Okay, big question for this game. Why is it that all of the acts in this game have to have multiple acts within them? I get it, it lengthens the game and all, because the gameplay concept here isn't exactly the best for having long games, but, you know, makes the levels drag a little bit at times. Maybe if they dedicated more of it to just fast platforming and then put you in a Blicky collecting scenario, I don't know. Apparently, back in, like, 2017, a director's cut for this game came out. It's unofficial. What? You don't like every zone having 7 acts? Yeah, I don't know. Something about that just rubs me the wrong way, you know? But apparently there's a director's cut for this game that got released a little while back. I don't know much about it. I just know that one of the original devs came forward and released like a ROM hack he did of like some of the ideas they wanted to put in, but couldn't for various reasons. And because of that, we have access to a weird version of the game. I might like play it at some point. It wasn't published by Sega, but the lead programmer of 3D Blast developed it. Yeah. Is it any good? I don't know, like, again, I haven't, like, played it yet. But if it substantially fixes some of this game's issues, like, it might be worth looking at least in my spare time. Is there another ring in this area? No? There we go. Alright, now we're moving on. There goes my phone. Alright, now for a very finicky boss, so I am gonna save state. The bosses in this game, describing them as finicky is being nice. It's basically made to address the many complaints people had with this game, as well as bug fixes and new modes. Okay, yeah, so, if you thought any other Sonic game had finicky, annoying bosses, this game has them all beat. There's one hit. Its hitbox is super inconsistent. Sometimes you just hit the spike ball under him, and it's kind of hard to tell, because depth perception is not one of this game's strong suits. I don't know if it counted those as hits. Eggman in 3D Blast is the king of hitboxes. He truly is. Especially the second boss, once we make it to that one, like, holy shit, we're gonna have some problems. There he goes. Alright, moving on to Rusty Ruin Zone. We're going to make a save state for the start of this zone. I'm going to be making a lot more save states as we go on, just because I want to show off the final stage, and I don't want to get, you know, fucked over by dying a bunch. I will say, this game's soundtrack is fairly good. Still prefer the Saturn version, but pretty good. Strongly dislike the second boss. It's not insanely hard, just picky. Yeah. Inconsistent is the word I use to describe bosses like this. Ones that just don't want to work, but can. Can never really tell when I'm about to take a hit, yeah. Unfortunately, that's where my memories of these bosses end, really, is being traumatized by getting hit by that one over and over again when I swear I wasn't doing anything wrong. Now, this stage is a good one to utilize the whole you can donate early thing. Can we get down here with a spin? Yes, we can. So, the main gimmick of this is to destroy these platforms, you have to, spin. Volcano Valley boss. Oh, oh no! Wait, isn't that the one where 90% of the arena is lava? I think I remember that one. I hate it. Gonna go slow so as to take as little damage as possible, and we've got Tails. We don't, you know, have him yet. Yeah, that one. Yeah. I hate that boss. Oh, it's this part. I was always confused as to how to handle this. Turns out you can just spin dash through it. Like everything in this game. It's timed so that they don't start until until they're like loaded in. Fuck. Going backwards is a little dangerous. Here, Tails, have more. It'd be kind of annoying even with depth perception. This does not help. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other rings I can grab in this act to donate to Tails? I don't really think so. There's no way to take the spin up here. So the drop rings disappear so fast in this game. Yeah, no, it's instant. That drives me nuts. I hate it when games do that. Like, I understand it for the Game Gear games, but this one has no excuse, you know? Alright, moving on to the second half of... maybe third of Act 1? I don't even know. I don't know how many parts there are in each level. Okay, can we get spin? Yes, we can. I am fucking trying so hard to not reference Vinny right now. I'm like, no one you know watches Vinny. No one Donate to Tails Support Fund. He needs your money for food. To that I say, too bad. Fox boy. Oh. This stage is a fucking minefield. You know, Vinny? I mean, that's good. Always glad to see people enjoying streamers I like. Vinny has this ongoing joke on his channel. I don't even know where it came from. It just shows up. I don't really watch his actual streams all too much, but I watch like all of his edited down videos, and it shows up all the time in those. And I don't know where it fucking came from, but occasionally he just goes Spain, and it is, depending on when he does it, it is the funniest shit because he knows his audience hates it. And this level is tempting me very hard to start saying that. Oh shit. God, you don't even need to try on these! Oh my god, the emulation is trying to kill itself. The audio got real crispy there, and I don't know if that was my capture card, which is worrying, or the game, which is even more worrying. The bank and Knuckles is shady. Yes, it is. I love how on all these screens, the emeralds, like, are flashing and weird looking, so if you ever pause the game on those, there's a 50-50 chance of the emeralds just not being there. You know, it's fine, whatever. Who cares about kids trying to take a picture of the fact that they got all the emeralds? Who cares? They do that in, like, most Sonic games, too. It's a really weird series staple. Oh, those things are not still destroyed. I'm not really sure where Knuckles is in this level. I know he's somewhere in the second chunk, but, I don't know where exactly. It always sucks ending every level in this game with a time rating of too long, because of trying to find the two banks and get enough rings over to them. Maybe he's, like, over here somewhere? Oh, nope, there's the spin tiles. Oh, shit, yeah, this thing is, really good, and of course they put it right next to a spike ball, so you can lose it immediately. This is a fire shield that just lets you skip fire traps. It's so good. Time taken. We aged several years waiting for you to finish this act. Oh my god. It's... If you think moving regularly in this game looks really slippery, you haven't seen shit. Spinning in this game is the most slippery garbage. Okay, we no longer have a fire shield. Okay. Ah, fuck. I don't even know how I forgot there was fire there. I know there's another fire thing somewhere in this stage. You know, when you buy a Sonic game, this isn't exactly what you expect. I mean, you expect spinning, but you would kind of expect to be going somewhere while spinning. Okay, so Knuckles isn't in the second chunk, at least as far as I can tell right now. However, we can go back to the start of the level from here. You know, at least the music in this level's good. We're gonna be listening to it for literally forever, so why not at least have it be good, you know? Okay, we gotta... Maybe... Oh, that's not Knuckles, but it's something good anyways. I think these things have, like... Nope. Okay. Just a background piece. No... It's insane how progressing in this game is really just finding your way through a literal maze sometimes. Well, that's the end of the stage, and we still haven't found the Knuckles Bank. Is it here? I mean, I'm gonna grab that. An unlikely function of the standard shield is that it's resistant to electricity. Wait, really? Did not know that. I think it was just the same as Shield in Sonic 1, 2, and CD, but nope. Yeah, okay, so this is the electric shield? Sure. You know what? I'll accept that. Okay, I see him! I see him! How do I get there? There it is. Okay. Wait. Okay, so I have to spin into here. Got it. Huh! No! We're just gonna... You know, that's a good freeze frame right there. One in Salt Lake, yeah, I got there. Oh shit, they want me to spin. Spinning in this game is not great. Oh, come on. Really just, like, threading a needle here, guys. Here. Watch as this locks me in. Okay. Make another save state. Beaten this game more times than you can ever remember. I am so sorry. If this were a better game, I'm certain your life would be, all the more nicer. Isn't it so strange that, like, as children, when we were playing these games, you know, like, at least I tended to gravitate towards the weird, bad ones. Like, this game I played a lot, and I played a lot of Mean Bean Machine, but I was never good at it. My shoes are all tied to 3D Blast, it's true. I could have been a normal, well-adjusted adult with a job, but no. I got Mega Collection for Christmas as a child, and now I'm just ruined forever. Real user testimony. Screw gravitate towards weird bad games. For example, you willingly played Chronicles. You know what? Touché. Again, so odd that, like, as children, we really just had no taste. Time bonus, too long, guarantee you. Yeah, it's 0. The Saturn version of the game literally says, it spells out, too long. And I think that's the funniest shit. But yeah, as a kid, I really liked Chaos. I mean, granted, because it was easy. But, I really liked Chaos. I played Sonic 1 Master System a lot. Hardly ever touched the actual, like, 3 base games. And, of course, I played a shitload of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. But those games are good games, so... Little me had good taste there, at least. Time taken. Fuck you. That's how long. You know, at the very least, I don't think this game has that 10-minute time limit. Which is good, because this game would have been a literal nightmare to try and finish under those conditions. Alright, we just gotta find Tails and Knuckles in this level, and then we are free from having to meticulously work our way through these levels. My question is just, where are they in general? Maybe I can... Hey! Shot in the dark, but it worked! And we found nipples! The fact that I'm yelling this in the middle of my house at, like, 11 p.m. is, a little worrying. Yeah, whenever you take over 10 minutes, that's what too long is. Yeah, a little sad that this game has stages that last that long. Alright, yeah, special stage 6 here. Nothing has changed. These stages are all the same. Funny to think that this game's development cycle it coincided with Sonic Extremes really hard. And inevitably was the only project to get released out of that time frame at all. One question I always like to ask is, you know, had this game gotten, like a Saturn exclusive release, you know? Something you would expect, for a game at the time. Granted, they weren't expecting this to be one of the only Sonic games on Saturn, and they especially weren't expecting it to, be the last game that they developed for the mainline series for a while. But I kind of want to see what an alternate universe would have looked like where this was a Saturn exclusive. How would it be remembered nowadays? Would it be just a game that's, like, discussed a little bit, you know? Like, people touch on it in, like, compilation videos talking about the franchise? Or, like, would it have a better reception? Would it have a worse one? Who knows? Nowadays, it's sort of propped up as, like, see, Sonic was never good with, like, games like this one. Which, to be fair, this game is not very good, but... I don't know. Maybe I can... There? Nope. It's just just interesting to think about because this game is already kind of weird and obscure. Sonic R was once a Saturn exclusive for the PC ports in the Gems collection. That's true. Hey, we gotta continue. There we go. 1 flicky for this act. Ooh, we getting that crispy audio again. Weird. Oh, the crispy audio sort of coincides with, like, dropping a couple frames. That might have something to do with it. Or maybe it's just my Xbox flipping its shit, you know? You never really know with tech problems like this. This is Sonic Head behind that large pillar. What?! How the fuck are you expected to find that? Don't know. Yeah, that sounds like something that they would have been like, hey, want to find all the Sonic medallions? Go buy Sega Magazine and we'll put it in there or something. Which I'm pretty sure there was a Genesis magazine back in the day. I just don't know much about it. I know it's considerably rarer than old copies of Nintendo Power. Not a whole lot of people had it, apparently. Especially not in my area. See, we already got Knuckles, right? So we're just looking for the Fox Boy Trust Fund. There was a Dimps game, they would have specifically made you get all the Sonic heads for one special stage. Yeah, exactly. I love Dimps to death, don't get me wrong. The advanced games are really solid, but like, man, guys, you could not have made the special stages worse. Wow, 2 Badniks at the same time. You know, I will say, this game being solely focused on killing all of the enemies, and that's how you move on, makes the stages feel really empty. These stages are really big and also at the same time have absolutely nothing in them. This game was Traveler Tales, wasn't it? The company that would, I'm pretty sure, would later go on to do the Lego Star Wars games and a couple other projects for Lego. I don't know if they're still the in-house for Lego. Pocket Adventure was before Dimps came into being, but one of the programmers would later go on to found Dimps. That would actually completely explain why Dimps is used for Sonic games nowadays. Yeah, this one was Traveler's Tales, I was right. Traveler's Tales is a weird company. They're still around, I'm pretty sure. They changed their logo a bunch, and now it's like, I'm pretty sure it's the 2 T's. But it used to be like this fox witch thing on like a broomstick or something. That's how I've always seen it anyways. Okay, we did not find the Fox Boy Trust Fund. Let's go see if we can find that. I believe they're still around, but the founder, John Burton, has peacefully parted ways with them. I mean, it's always nice to see a founder peacefully leave, you know, rather than, like, stay and drag the company down, or, you know, whatever else, like, go through a big scandal or something. It just occurred to me it might be in one of these. Nope. Maybe this one? Nope. Man, like, I do not know how they expect you to know which ones of those you can spin dash and which ones you can't. I was very close to getting it. Wait, do you know where Foxboy Trust Fund is for this level? Oh. Okay. Getting hit, not getting it. Okay. I'm using my main monitor for tonight, which means I don't have it quite as close to me as I normally do. And because my Xbox is hooked up in a weird spot and I don't have wireless controllers for it, I'm sort of tethered to it. Foxboy Trust Fund requires spinning. No! I don't want to spin! If I say spin a bunch, Vinny will, like, recommend my stream, right? Probably see the suspicious thing you gotta spin through. Okay, then I will go backwards in the level a bit. I think I'm as far backwards as the game will let me go. No, Act 1 here. Or Part 1, I guess, not Act 1. I don't need to go this far back? Okay. The chains also hurt me. What do I have to spin through? It's further ahead. Okay. Wait. So, if it's further ahead, then it's probably down here. I did not mean to jump into this pit. Is it perhaps I have to use those things to spin, like, down this way, maybe? No? Wow, I'm really far back. Why do they have that pit there? Is something I can just jump off of? Okay, yeah, it's super far back now. I just passed it? Oh no! Fuck. Ooh, that's bad. I mean, I know where some are later on. I think I'm just gonna move on and get those ones later. We don't have to have it, like, as early as possible, you know? Sounds like a good idea, yeah. Just don't wanna hang on this stage for too long. I say 20 minutes into it. Oh, fuck. I look at the screen for half a second, and the game's like, psych. As a kid, I was always paranoid of losing the birds. Honestly, still kind of am. Especially, like, later on. There we go. Good to know that spin dash jumping is a thing in, like, every 3D Sonic, no matter how far back you go, except for modern ones, of course. Rest in peace, the spin dash, by the way. Never seen again, except on Classic Sonic, because they keep bringing him back for some reason. Gotta get this jump just right. I don't like these things because the game doesn't have good enough depth perception to allow them to function normally. You know? There we go. Spin dash jumping is kind of broken in Pocket Adventure because you still get control in midair, which I'm very much a fan of. Holy shit! Pocket Adventure sounds like it'd have a fun speed run if anyone knew about it. Alright, we're on the Rusty Ruin boss. Probably one of the most broken ones in the game. It's kind of hard to say, though, because there are some really broken bosses in this one. Some of the puzzle pieces even require you to make crazy spin dash jumps, so it was definitely intentional. That sounds like the Dimps developers. Okay, so, like, honestly, fuck this boss. He's got big old cat paws, and you gotta step on them. And he'll carry you up to his face. However, everything on this boss that isn't the cat paw and Eggman is a hitbox. So you just get hit sometimes without really knowing why. Like, that one was definitely my fault, but that one earlier, no way. Little me very much did not like this boss. Hey, what do you know? Current me does not like this boss. Little you and current me have something in common here. For the longest time, this was the cutoff point. Yeah, I had the same thing. This boss was not good. Alright, Zone 3, Spring Stadium. This game's gonna be a 2-stream affair. I know it. This was my concern with the Saturn version, too, because that version doesn't save. There is no way we can reasonably finish it in time. So yeah, welcome to hell. Again, if you thought this game looked like it controlled poorly before, now it's pinball. Pinball without depth perception, too. It's like an odd choice to not add a save feature for the Saturn hardware, right? Honestly, if they had given it some sort of HUD to select levels from, a save feature, and yeah, that's it. The Saturn version, like, I could wholeheartedly recommend it, but, like, despite all the improvements it makes to the graphics and the sound and the controls and everything else, I can't recommend the Saturn version because it fetches a decent price tag nowadays, and like all Saturn games do, that console is not easy to collect for. But it's too expensive to warrant it, and it can't be emulated. I guess we just have to wait for Saturn emulators to really come along. Worst part is, they almost did have a hub screen because it shows you where you are on Flicky Island. Yeah! The PC version's like that, too. The PC version has saves, though. They're just kind of weird to access. They're built into the game's, like, not any menu. They're built into the game's window. Like, the display on Windows. For some reason. So like when you're launching the game before you go into full screen, if you want to load, you just click on the thing and you click on game and then load game, and it takes you to the last time you were at the map display. Which, like, granted, really cool feature. I like that a lot. Where is that for the Saturn version? The Saturn hardware can handle saving. I don't know, maybe that's just something new and crazy to expect games to utilize their hardware. God, I'm going to lose these rings. I'm pretty sure there is, a special stage entrance in the second chunk of this level. somewhere. It's coming up, I know that much. Watch as I take damage right now. Hey, didn't even see that coming. There's a medallion up there. Oh, I don't want to break that. Going fast in this game is not ideal. Hey, could you maybe come here, Clam Robot Man? He sped up. He noticed me. Oh, okay, that could have gone really bad. Oh, come on. I do not like these red ones. They're really odd to try and capture. I see you, Knuckles! There he is. See, there we go. We made it into the final special stage. That's something. Holy shit! Am I the one who finds it really unsettling that the rings don't spin in this special stage? I don't know, there was something throwing me off about them and I couldn't quite place it, and now I've realized it's the fact that the rings aren't spinning. Granted, the background being a disgusting mess is a problem, but the rings are just like static objects. I don't know, that's a little odd to me. There we go, all 7. Sonic got all Chaos Emeralds. Nice. We're gonna save that. Imagine, right? You're a child and you just did that and you're proud of yourself and you get out your little disposable shitty child camera that existed in the 90s for sure, and you take a picture of your game screen and then you get it developed and what shows up at all shows 0 Chaos Emeralds because they're flashing like this and you just got a bad frame. This is not an experience exclusive to 3D Blast, I should mention. I see, so the entrance was literally just down here. Got it. Well, I'm pretty sure all special stages that we could do from here on out will literally just gain us, like, 1 life. I think. Pretty sure that's what they're for. Hey, another medal. Fuck. Alright, now we can start blasting through some of these zones, right? That's how this game works? The game starts moving fast, right? Oh, fuck. I just realized I don't need to worry about rings anymore. So yeah, the stages will actually start going way faster. I can't be the only person who's always afraid to hurt that spider. I mean, like, they covered it in spikes, and 99% of the time that means, oh, don't touch. But I promise you, you can touch it. It's just like a sprite swap of the crocodile from the Ruin Zone. For a game entirely based around hurting and killing enemies, there aren't really a whole lot of enemies. Like, enemy types. There's like maybe 3 or 4 per zone. And most of the time they don't even fit with the zone they're in. Like, that spider fits the color palette of this place, I guess. But what it doesn't fit is the design. Like, where's those spring launcher clam guys that we saw in Sonic 2? I don't really know what to call them because I've never really been able to decipher what's going on in their sprite. But like, what about those guys? Why are they not here? They would be a perfect fit for a level like this. There is a wander and home in on you enemy, the randomly jitter around enemy, the back and forth enemy, and so on. Yeah, occasionally you get one that jumps. Ooh, fancy. I don't know, it's just, this game really could have benefited from more creative enemy design and better enemy AI. Like, if you're going to have a game like this, you know, where it's like, kill the 5 enemies and get their things and move on, you know, you gotta give them something interesting, something to keep the player going and interested. Currently, this game has no such thing. Which is why I'm willing to bet a lot of people haven't even, like, finished this game. I feel like it would be a zone-specific gimmick, like the Caterkiller in Green Cove. Yeah. Like, this zone even has an enemy, like, in other Sonic games, like Casino Zones and Spring Zones and stuff. They could have taken any number of enemies from past Sonic games, but instead it's just bugs? Like, what? Where's the theming here? Like, imagine, this could have been, like, the return of that weird Bakugan-looking motherfucker from Sonic 1. Or, you know, the clam, like, the weird shield dude from Sonic 2, or, what are the enemies in this area from, 3? Like, the area styled like this, I mean. The whatchamacallit with the shield, yeah, that guy. I'm certain that the manual says that guy's name, I'm certain. I just don't own the manual for Sonic 2. I own the manual for Sonic 1. I don't own the manual for Sonic 2. I've never really been able to justify to myself picking up a copy of Sonic 2 complete in box. When you've owned a game for your entire life, it's hard to convince yourself to buy another copy. What do you mean this isn't tall enough? Honestly, like, that's this game's biggest sin, is its waste of potential for the enemies. They could have absolutely done a bunch of cool shit with the enemies in this game, and they didn't. Enemies are like bats with blinking lights, clams with guns, the little electric guys who snap between the wall and the ceiling. Yeah, put in the clam with the gun! Have it be an enemy you have to wait to kill, you know? You can charge a spin dash next to him and release it when he opens. Something like that, you know? Make creative use of the game's mechanics. That threw me off the ledge. Interestingly enough, this game doesn't really have a whole lot of bottomless pits, I don't think. One of the only Sonic games that really doesn't. Is this Act 1 or Act 2? I think this is Act 2. But I can never really know, because this game feels like one eternal level. Oddly, Cosmic Casino Pocket, which is basically Casino Night, had 0 enemies. That's odd. And also really weird. I wonder if I would have noticed that. had I done a casual playthrough and not known. Please come here. What? I do not like this setup that this guy has going on here. The game has no bottomless pits to speak of, even if it looks like there would be. Nope. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wonder how they'd program that into this engine. Spikes, like Sonic 2. Spikes hidden by perspective. I keep thinking, like, yeah, we can just avoid that route, like other Sonic games where it's like, you know, the route you pick is very important to your experience with the level. No, this game has no such feature. Please come here. Clam Man, I need you to get over here. I don't want to launch the spin dash. You know what? There we go. That worked. Ooh, we getting the crisp again. Hard to say. I hope that's not my Xbox or capture card, but the game. To quote JonTron, the sky's the limit when you don't give a shit. And that's very much so how I feel about ports of this one. Sega really did not give a shit. As evidenced by the PC port not even playing audio in the correct places. There's been hacks to remove the flickies, which I think is an option in Director's Cut. The issue being that once you do that, the levels are very short. I mean, they're short, but they're probably more fun. Because this game is, not fun. Controversial opinion, I know. That's like really what it ultimately comes down to. Even though all of the mechanics function the way they're supposed to, the game still isn't fun. It's sort of like the opposite problem that people have with most modern Sonic games, where the mechanics don't function at all sometimes. Is it bad that I actually literally do not remember this boss fight at all? I remember not liking it. They feel more like Sonic stages because you actually do get the chance of routes. Jesus. I remember this. I remember thinking it's really hard because the hitbox is so finicky and the rings despawn so quickly. Boss fight doesn't deserve to be remembered. The Saturn version of this fight is actually, like, harder, if I remember right. Because his hitbox is even dumber. You just jump on him from a higher spot. You mean like... Ooh, like... We lost audio for a second there. Like, entirely. You mean from, like, the top section there. So, like this. Honestly, I don't trust that at all. But we can try it. Did you see how it just despawned that ring when I was about to touch it? It gave me half a second to pick it up, and it was like, oh, no, you don't want it? Never mind, bye. Why is this game like this? Could Traveler's Tales not program the timers for the ring despawn properly? Still not great, but you found it more reliable. I'm gonna stick to the ground method. That's the one I remember using. You just wait for him to come down and then rush behind him really quick. It's really the easiest way to not get screwed over by his hitbox a billion times. This whole game, honestly, would be way easier if, I didn't have to constantly worry about my rings despawning instantly the moment I dropped them. Probably their attempt to make the game harder. Okay, but, like, make that a hard mode or something, you know? I don't know. Hard mode, you don't get your rings back. That sounds like a perfectly serviceable mode. They were probably hitting that same dilemma that, Mario 64 hit a lot of the time, where more and more the devs figured out that classic Mario enemies just wouldn't cut it in 3D. So, like, classic Sonic boss designs and stuff weren't really gonna work here. So they really had to, like, change stuff around a lot. Hey, cleared it. Just gonna make another save state because we're going into the dumber stuff. Rush had a decent way of balancing the rings. Every time you get hit, the rings fly further away. I never noticed that about Rush. I get hit a lot in that game, though, honestly, so... I'm amazed I haven't noticed it. Alright, yeah, time for... This is honestly one of the best songs in the game. Saturn version and Genesis version alike. Oh, shit. Yeah, that looked like a bottomless pit there for a second. It just kind of wasn't. It's very noticeable with the bosses. Especially the final, or the regular final boss. I guess that's true, yeah. That boss fight is very tough. Hey, we found nipples, looks like? Yeah, nipples. No, thank you. We don't need to do any more of those goddamn special stages, so I'm not going to. Okay, see, that is good. Zone-specific enemy that has an interesting attack pattern. Good. Welcome in this game. That attack pattern may not be nice. It's a great remix of Central City from Sonic Chronicles. This is Central City? For real? Oh no. I guess it does kind of sound familiar, yeah. Are these like actual spike traps in the wall? No, they're just things I can destroy. Hey, a one-up box! As you might expect, it sounds nowhere near as beautiful. I'm looking forward to getting to that game so everyone can get progressively more upset with all the songs they butcher. Wait, why does it drop me out here? What? You can sprint through the ground spikes in this zone? What? I'm actually kind of upset about not knowing that. Nowhere in the game tells you this. Nothing even hints at it. Oh, we lost all our flickies again. Get out of here, birds. Worst part is the similar spike traps on Zerun cannot be spun through, you just take damage. That's just mean. Speaking of just mean, it threw me right back down here. Okay. So that's what I meant to do. Got it. Why did the green one go down here? Gremlin child. Chronicles uses music from both the Genesis and Saturn OSTs and 3D Blast. I mean, hey, they both deserve love. Although I would have preferred it if they had done maybe not Diamond Dust Zone for both. Granted, they did a, like, one good song in that game, and it was Diamond Dust Zone, so... however, it was not this Diamond Dust Zone. We can't really blame Sega for 3D Blast. Or not 3D Blast, Chronicles. Because that was all BioWare. Some things, like the game ending on a cliffhanger and never getting a sequel, like that stuff, we can blame some internal politics at, like... I believe it was at Archie Comics, actually, that caused it. But yeah, we can blame other companies for, like, aspects of it, but the music, that's all them. Genesis Diamond Dust did not get as lucky. Yeah, exactly. There we go. You know, that snowman enemy has, like, rarely shown up so far. You know, it's hard to really pick a Sonic game where the sound designers didn't know explicitly what they were doing. This series has always been pretty blessed with good music, outside of like a couple of sad instances. Looking at you, Spinball. Never let Sega live down the Spinball options music. Never. Chose to spin through the snowman enemy. Be warned that sometimes you can actually get crushed by the frozen flicky. What? That's exactly the kind of dumb bullshit I expect from this game, gonna be totally honest. The audio is getting more and more delayed as this stream goes. I'm gonna really hope that this isn't a sign of my capture card going out. Here, we're gonna try resetting that real quick. We're just gonna bloop, and then we're gonna give it a sec. Wait. There we go. Probably more likely to happen the slower you roll. That would make sense. Oh! Sorry about literally demolishing your eardrums there for a sec. There we go. Fixed it. You know, of all the themes they could have chosen, ooh, we're getting that crispiness again. I wonder what that's about. I really hope that's just the game, and like my capture card isn't having trouble capturing from the 360 or something. Because if it is, we're going to have some trouble with some games later down the line. Granted, 360 doesn't have a whole lot of exclusives, so everything I plan on streaming for 360, I can literally just buy on PS3, and we can do it that way, because I know the capture card has no issues there. But if it's going to start having problems here as, or streaming the 360, we might end up with some issues. But again, it's hard to say whether or not this is a problem caused by Mega Collection, or the capture card, or my computer, or the Xbox. But it is true that sometimes the game is just crispifying the audio for me. I don't know if that's showing through on stream. It should be. Because as far as I can tell, it's ripping the audio straight from my desktop. Ah! Fox Boy. I'm sorry, there are spikes there? Yes. Holy shit. Oh, it's worth noting, if you're ever curious how many flickies you're holding, like if you're wondering if you have them all, you can just do the idle animation and they'll circle around you. It's a nice feature. Diamond Dust Zone has been the best act so far, honestly. Maybe it's because now I can finally focus on just going through the stages, as opposed to trying to get everything. But, like, man, this zone is the best one in the game so far. And that's really sad to notice about a stage with ice physics. I don't dare roll in this level, though. Ice physics be damned. Not gonna try that. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, I tried killing it by spinning. It didn't crush me. That is a blessing, not a curse. Not really sure how that thing got the flickies and not me. Did I get the last Chaos Emerald? Yes, I did. We currently have all of them. Good, yeah. Okay, moving on. What even? Okay. This one doesn't seem all that hard. He actually gets weaker with each hit. Good machine, Robotnik. Fuck. No, I don't know how that happened. Oh yeah, Sonic the Fighter's like completely unexplainable 8th Chaos Emerald. I fucking love that thing. You know, I get the feeling that Fighters wasn't developed in-house, you know? Weaker with every hit. Yeah, I didn't expect him to start spinning it, and then also for the hitbox to not function. Granted, I should be expecting the hitbox to not function, because that's just par for the course for this game. Oh, well, we have plenty of continues and lives, so... You know, while we fight this boss, you know, here's an interesting topic that I was discussing with some friends earlier. What do you think is the worst final boss in this series, hands down? And this can be for any number of reasons. You know, bad gameplay, bad story integration, bad everything, bad music. Yeah, it's really hard to think, like, what it could be. See, there we go, we got him. Because there's a lot of interesting fights to take into account, and there's a lot of battles in this series that you wouldn't even necessarily think of. Honestly, for me, it's either the Sonic Forces final boss, because of how terribly it was implemented into the plot, the Lost World final boss for the same reason, and the fact that both of these bosses are just ripped straight from Sonic Colors is not a good sign. Oh boy, Volcanic Valley. um... And then, of course, there's, like, the Chronicles final boss, which is literally just a quick time event. And the Unleashed final boss, which is the same, it's in consideration for the same reason. Just being one long, bad quick time event. However, that one has a plus of having really, really amazing music and just all around incredible, like, oh, it's nipples. Incredible plot integration. Sonic 2 final boss is unforgettable and very well presented. Oh my god, what game? Please let me out of here. I'm actually, like, trapped in here. It won't let me leave. What? How do I get out? Every time I try, the game sends me backwards. There we go. I just had to pay Knuckles to leave. It's fine. But its design as an actual boss is legitimately terrible. Yeah, I agree. You know what? Here. As a compromise, while the design of the Sonic 2 final boss, like, it's not a great boss fight in and of itself. It's oddly way too difficult, especially for a game without a password system. We can make a compromise and say the Sonic 4 final boss is notoriously terrible. And of course, I mean Episode 1. Episode 2 has a decent final boss. I kind of hate everything about what's happening right now in the game. Come here. There. But yeah, the Sonic 4 final boss, like Episode 1, is literally the Sonic 2 final boss, but, like, worse. Oh my god, speaking of literally this but worse, something but worse, this is the worst fire level in the series. Too many jumps that are just, like, blind faith, and then getting the flickies back in this level, man. What the fuck? Let's just abuse this invincibility I can get. Please. There we go. Oh, 5. Perfect. What other bosses are worthy of consideration for this? The thing about the Chronicles last boss, Kotom event battle comes after 3 phases of actual battling. While still underwhelming, it's definitely more tense. Okay, so that's fine. The Unleashed final boss is still on my shit list, though. It's got some good things in there, you know? It's just a shame that the only, version of the game where you actually go head-to-head with Dark Gaia is the Wii PS2 version. A version of the game that is notoriously awful in every other way. Because despite using literally the same controller as the PS3 version for the PS2 version, the controls are completely different and noticeably worse. Oh, come on. I can break that part of the wall, I see that. Interesting that this is a game that sort of got a pseudo Game Gear port, you know, with Sonic Blast. It's not quite the same, it's not entirely the same thing, but it's definitely close enough to be, like, suspect. They both use these, like, this sort of, like, fake 3D methods. I don't know, personally, I think that a boss that we should be considering as the worst one is that Secret Rings final boss, because it forces you to play more of Secret Rings to get to it. And, like, that game already is a mistake. Alphalela Walela, I believe his name is? Something like that. 3D models are clearly based on these, and the true final boss looks similar. Yeah, it does. And it has very similar zone progression. It's got the fire level, which is far from a standard in Sonic. Used to utterly 100% despise Alphalela Walela. Hey, me too! I still kind of do, because he's a bad boss fight. But the reasons as to why might not be obvious for a lot of people. It's not a fight about moving. In fact, it's a fight about doing the opposite. You just have to shake the Wii Remote a bunch to charge up your meter, and then once it's charged, you launch your attacks at him, and then you just do it again, and it's terrible. Ooh, we get that crunch audio again. Did not really explain much of you need to know, to anything. Yeah, they explain nothing about that fight. It doesn't have a tutorial despite changing up the entire, way the game works. That fight is absolutely awful. You know, here's a fight that I don't want to consider it for the final boss because this fight is genuinely incredible. But, holy shit. It falls into the issue that a lot of Sonic bosses at the time have. The Black Queen from Sonic and the Black Knight is an amazing fight in terms of visual design, in terms of audio design, in terms of audio integration, or not audio integration, in terms of story integration, in terms of, basically everything. That fight is fucking incredible. However, it only lasts less than 40 seconds. So even though they have this amazing theme composed for it, with, even the only time, I believe, in the entire series that a final boss theme gets a lead female vocal, they have that composed and everything, and it's for the easiest boss in the franchise. And, even in terms of, the Alphalela Walela criticism, where they changed the whole game up right at that moment, they really don't change anything about the gameplay for the Dark Queen. As long as you are a master of that soul gauge system, you can beat her really easily. And that's the problem. Beating her easily. She has, all the makings to be an incredible boss fight, but she just isn't quite there. Something vital that they don't say is charging your soul gauge is also another dodge option. So if when Alpha Layla Layla slashes across your entire movement area, you must shake the remote to go above it. Yeah, I literally had to look up, like, walkthroughs on how the fuck I was even supposed to dodge some attacks. And the options are to either do that or jump with very specific timing, and the jumping in that game... excuse me. The jumping in that game is just... oh boy. Very bad. Luckily, they fixed, like, all the problems with it, with Alpha Layla Walela with the Dark Queen. The issue being that, the Dark Queen is just easy. So, you never really have a whole lot of reasons to, fight her other than to hear her music again. Maybe there's an enemy through here? No, just a fire shield. Head backwards. Move where he spams bullets. I thought you needed time break to avoid that, but no, speed break works better. It depends on the which one he's doing. Sometimes time break works better. Sometimes speed break works better. Of course, the game isn't nice enough to let you know what the difference between the two versions of this attack are. No, you just gotta figure it out. And if you can't, well, tough. What's that? You expect to be able to finish your video game that you paid for? No, fuck you. This game has made you so motion sick. Don't worry, me too. You should have seen the PC version. It runs at, like, a very choppy frame rate for one reason or another. Ooh, about to get a 1-up. So on top of the camera slinging itself around like it's fucking, like, weapon, the game just doesn't look as good. Okay, moving on. I can't wait till we get to some of the weirder games in this series, because we're gonna hit bosses like Alpha Layla Walela, and everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck is even happening? What is this franchise? And I won't have an answer. Damn, they put that metal, like, literally in plain sight. You want your weapon to be a camera? Your weapon is nobody can see you. You just, anytime someone looks at you, they're forced to look away. You're like a cosmic horror. Hey, bird, could you, like, come here? Thank you. Think I can hit 200 rings? Say the final boss is Sonic Popcorn Shop, but that doesn't count. There's a final boss of Popcorn Shop? What? Alright, now here's the one that'll get real controversial and heated. What is the best final boss on the franchise? Which singular fight stands above all the others as just one that is just better? Sega Sonic That Jog has only a single boss, and it's not at the end! Sega Sonic's a weird one. We'll have to make time for it at some point. It's never been ported to anything. You'd think it'd be on the Gems collection, but it's not. But yeah, so what do you guys think is the best one? I'll be a cosmic horror so I can be in Monster Prom. So to consider a part where Eggman's trying to take the popcorn kernels as the game's sole boss. Alright, we're gonna make a save state right here. This is the next boss. This boss is also terrible. Final boss of Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. I don't know who that is yet. Shush. I shouldn't be collecting the rings that I don't need. What the hell is this? Holy shit, this fight seems like a nightmare. And I say seems like, even though I'm fighting it actively. What the hell? This final boss in Sonic are the best of all time. Best final boss in Sonic. Spoiler alert, it's the final boss. Best final boss of all time is a different discussion for a different day. Everyone has their own opinions on that. Personally, mine still kind of falls within Sonic, though, because I don't know a single other series that puts as much work into its last bosses as Sonic does. Sonic most of the time, at least. Good lord, this fight is a literal goddamn nightmare. I guess Final Fantasy puts a lot of real good work into its final bosses, but... Remember that issue I was talking about earlier with that that section of Rusty Ruins where I was like, you really don't have the depth perception to handle this? That. Kirby final bosses? Oh, that's true. Kirby has a ton of really fucking crazy final bosses. We'll be doing Kirby eventually. I've fought one of them recently, the one of Dreamland. I landed on the pipe, game! There's no way you can tell me that was not on the pipe! Oh my god! I hate this. But yeah, personally, it's a very hard question because there's a bunch of really good final bosses in this series. And all of them basically perfectly tie up their plots. Can't wait to fight Sectonia. Oh yeah, that's just the thing. I don't know how well that game specifically emulates it and Robobot. They might emulate well, and if so, I'm very excited to play them. However, if I have to rely on getting a 3DS capture card, it's not happening. As good as that thing would be, as there's so many 3DS games I want to stream or capture in some way, I don't think it would be... I think the true final boss of Rush edges at Advance 3, solely for being Rush is being more difficult, but it is the best one. That's fair, that's fair. The Rush one is incredible. You've never played Robobot? Neither have I. I picked up Triple Deluxe, and I never picked up Robobot. So I have to do that at some point. I'm excited. But, yeah, personally for me, it's either Final Hazard from Adventure 2, or it's, you literally can't collect singular rings when they drop. You can't do it. Even if you touch them, the literal frame after they're dropped, you can't grab them. What is this fight? Was this tested? But oh, you said is it the best one? Okay. Gotta be patient with me. My reading skills aren't exactly top-notch. Especially when I'm split attention on the game and such. But yeah, Rush 1 is very good. This fight sucks. I'm just gonna say what we're all thinking. Okay, that time the ring stayed. How does this work? That time it just bounced me onto the lava. There we go. Oh my god, that fight sucks. Oh well, it's over. I'm gonna try my best to make this not a two-stream affair. We did start late, so we will be pushing late again. Just a bit, though. Just by a bit. I don't have anything going on tomorrow for the first time in a long time. Gene Gadget. We are approaching the end game now, actually. It's just this and Panic Puppet as far as I'm aware. By the way, if you expected anything to change, no. The enemy designs are still slightly different. Can you spin dash through these? No, you can't. But yeah, for me personally, Final Hazard is really good. Not played every single Sonic game. Maybe Rush Adventure is a brilliant extra boss. More I think about it, Rush seems like the answer. Again, that's totally like valid. Rush is probably one of the ones that's the most fun to fight actively. Like, Final Hazard, for me, it takes the cake because I love Shadow's character in that game, and it's his big send-off. You know, they sort of kill him after that. They do not let that continue for very long. But it's like the big climactic moment in the game with an incredible, amazing, beautifully written story that's delivered in maybe not the best way. Which, again, part of what I love about the game. What? Okay, Sonic, like, stop moving. Just a bit, please. Some of these enemies really do just feel like luck trying to kill. I will say, though, Rush Adventure does not have a better extra boss than, Rush does. So, Rush Adventure is amazing, and you should play it at your earliest convenience, but it's not quite up there with Rush. Rush Adventure was really the start of them being like, hey, take this villain? No. It's Eggman now. Which is very lame. There's the green man. This game has no depth perception. None. Holy shit, this level is designed really dickishly. There we go. Final Hazard is an amazing send-off for the entire game. Just in terms of overall boss design, Rush is the best, but totally get where you're coming from. Yeah, Rush is up there for me for sure, as well. Honorable mentions go to Perfect Chaos. The fight really, unlike a lot of later Sonic final bosses, it expands upon, like, the Sonic gameplay, you know? A lot of them sort of put you in a void in outer space and, sort of change up the game. And granted, it's fairly easy to get accustomed to the new gameplay, but the Adventure final boss, really, it keeps with Sonic's usual feeling of momentum and stuff. Getting that crispy audio again. It might be delaying. No, it's not really. You know what would make this, like, a whole lot better? If you could, like, spin dash and draw the flickies into you or something. Where's that last one? There he is, motherfucker. Okay. Non-Aggression Zone was just a bit more challenging. That might have taken the top spot. Non-Aggression Zone, I've heard really good things about. Never accessed it. Might as well get all the points we can. Even if the points do literally nothing in this game. I think probably after the zone, we'll cut it off for the night. And we'll pick this one back up on Tuesday. Just finish up Gene Gadget and then do save Panic Puppet and Final Battle for next time. Also, like True Area 53, possibly the hardest 2D Supersonic boss. I mean, that's good to hear. I like how you say that, even though you spent the entirety of the moon fight not knowing you could get more rings. That paints a very worrying picture of True Area 53. I'm excited to see that boss, though. Again, we won't be doing it legitimately on stream, because no one has the patience for that. I'll be downloading a save. Oh boy, it's where depth perception goes to die. This is another thing that the Saturn version really improves upon, I feel. The stages just look a lot better, so you're able to more easily tell what you're looking at sometimes, especially with slopes. Never would have guessed that you could open up those trap capsules. Yeah, no, you can just sort of throw yourself into them. The only reason I found that out is because I accidentally did it while trying to damage the boss. Because I'm very reckless when it comes to stuff like that. If I have the opportunity to kill a boss by throwing myself at it and possibly dying, I'll do it. Which is how I beat Dark Souls, honestly. Strength build, throw myself at it, bam, punch. That's really how I dealt with it. Oh yeah, it's worth mentioning that Alundra got here today. Arrived in the mail. My copy works beautifully, which I would certainly hope it does, given how rare that game is. Okay, we don't have them all yet. I mean, I guess how expensive it is. I don't know necessarily how rare it is. I just know that people don't necessarily see it too often, and it fetches a really high price. Is there an enemy, like, back here, maybe? I mean, at the very least, it's worth going back so I can grab the last, like, 7 rings I need for a 1-up. There it is. Alright. I'm gonna head for that, goal ring. Okay, that was not how you got to the goal ring. Moonzone had potential, certainly different from every other super battle. Yeah, it's just really, like, weighted oddly. It doesn't feel super good to play. Personally, I prefer the void and space style of battles because, unpopular opinion, Supersonic is a bitch to control on the ground. Like, no matter the appearance, really. How is the zone still going? Wait, let's test that. Oh my god, you are immune to electricity with this shield. I think the chaotic space from Pocket Adventures would introduce the concept of having to reflect things back to Eggman as Supersonic. And that's neat, I like that. I mean, technically speaking, I'd say that 3 really introduced the modern concept of the Sonic final boss that we think of, you know, Doomsday Zone, where you had to guide his missiles back into him. Pocket Adventure really expanded it into the form that we see used most often. Which is weird, because you don't think you can credit Pocket Adventure for very much. Because the game is not talked about ever. And yet you can credit it for quite a bit. it very directly led into the advanced games. Like, with the dev staff being really similar, later, you know, going on to found the company that developed Sonic Advance, Dimps. We can get to 200 rings, holy shit. Let's grab those first. There we go. For having a sort of tricky Knuckles fight in 2D. Yeah. You're gonna sleep now? Okay, good night, Jay. We'll be stopping after this next boss, so good night. You won't miss the ending of this one or anything. Alright, onwards to the next boss. Man, I'm not excited for this upcoming boss fight. I wonder why that could be. Could it be potentially because the boss fights are bad? No, never. This is throwing up every red flag I have. One hit. The worst is yet to come? Oh no. It's worth noting, I've beaten this game exactly one time. Back in, I want to say like 2014 or so, I decided to go back and finish a lot of the Sonic games I never finished when I was way younger. So, you know, 6 years ago, I was, 16. I should probably focus a little more. Alright. No amount of focus is going to save me from the bad hitboxes, being honest. Anyways, I was 16 at the time, and I decided to go back and play through a lot of the ones that I had never really done. Like, Shadow the Hedgehog, when I was a kid, I never did any of the optional missions, like the dark, like the evil side or anything. Never did any of those. So I thought the game was just like a small set of levels, and then you fought a roulette machine, and then it was over, and I wasn't very happy with it. However, then I went along and I played the rest of it, and I still wasn't very happy with it, because it's bad. It's one of the few Sonic games I can agree with the general consensus on. It's not very good. But yeah, this was one of the games that I did. Not a single pixel of what I'm seeing is a good sign, yeah. Alright, yeah, that's it for 3D Blast for tonight. But yeah, this was one of the ones that I did, and thus, you know, 6 years ago. Don't exactly have a whole lot of memories from that. But yeah, so we are entering into the chatter section. Though I think Shadow also gets unfair levels of hate, has a lot of problems. I think people talk about the wrong things when it comes to Shadow. And hey, since it's post-stream chatter time, I can just bam and bam. There we go. There. So, people talk about the wrong thing when it comes to Shadow and why it's bad. Because yes, Shadow the Hedgehog is not a very good game. Fully willing to admit that. I do not like Shadow one bit. However, the reason people claim to hate it is because her Shadow is a gun. Ain't that bad? Ain't that funny? And when in actuality, the guns are actually one of the least offensive parts of the game. The guns are okay. They're not really necessary. I mean, the homing attack in the game is fucking broken, so it kind of is necessary because you can't trust the homing attack to not launch you off a cliff. But like, you know, it's not the worst part of the game. Like, yeah, the game's super edgy. Edgy the Hedgy ain't that funny. Sonic fucking writers had guns in one cutscene. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 had guns, kind of. Gun agents show up, and they have guns in one cutscene, I believe. Only in cutscene, though. Like, guns in the Sonic series aren't necessarily new things, you know? They've always had some sort of, like, laser beam attack in every single game. But Shadow giving the player guns sort of crossed the line for a lot of people, and, like, I get that. It's off-putting. But it's not the worst part of the game. The worst part of the game is just how it feels. Part where Eggman holds Amy at gunpoint. Yeah! Don't forget, Amachow has a starter pistol in Adventure 2. So, like, I did one Chow race as, like, hey, I should test this, just to see what it's like, because I hadn't done one in forever, and I spotted Amachow and shouted really loudly, Amachow has a gun?! Which already, worrying to me, giving Amachow a pistol. But, anyways, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog is, the actual problems with that game are that it feels like shit to control. Like, somehow they took the Heroes engine, which already has really floaty controls for the Speed character, and that's sort of like one of its gimmicks, right? The Speed character is really floaty, so they're designed to sort of just be running forward, and if you want more precise controls, you switch to the Power character, or the Flight character, normally the Power character. Not in Shadow. Shadow, you only play as a Speed character, and they kept that same sort of momentum engine, so Shadow just slip and slides all over the fucking level, and it feels like garbage. On top of that, the homing attack is broken, just like it is in Heroes. And again, I don't mean to shit-talk Heroes too much. I genuinely kind of like that game. It's just it has problems, and those problems carried over into Shadow, and they just got worse in that game. Not to mention, the plot, I said it in the Adventure 2 streams, I consider that game to be non-canon. Just straight up, that game isn't canon. There's no way in hell that game is canon. Broken homing attack? Yeah, it's mainly noticeable in the like, robot carnival type fights, where, instead of, like, targeting something, Sonic will just throw himself forward, or whichever your Speed character is, Sonic, Shadow, Amy, SBO. They'll just throw themselves haphazardly forward instead of targeting a specific enemy, and I'm not really sure what the cause of it is. Sometimes it doesn't work, you know? Oh, you're talking about Shadow. Shadow has the same problem. Shadow the Hedgehog specifically has this same problem. It's to kind of a lesser degree than Heroes, because you're never really relying on it thanks to the guns. But for some, like, gaps that's required to cross with, like, the homing attack and stuff, sometimes it not working just comes up. And it's really not an issue I expected to carry over. I thought that would be fixed. Not to mention, since it's still built in the Heroes engine, the GameCube version is still the only fully functional version of the game, because the PS2 and Xbox versions of the game engine they used, I believe it's the Cryware engine, I'm not sure though. It's like a special adaptation of the Cryware engine. We dropping frames? Oh shit, we just dropped a few frames. Huh. I wonder why. Whatever, it's the chatter section, so if the internet gets too bad, we just cut it off early. But, not really familiar with that. Yeah, it happens to me all the time. Who knows? Maybe that's just like a PS2 version thing, because, like, as I'm explaining, PS2 version of that game, broken. PS2 version of a lot of the Sonic games, kind of broken. Because they're built for GameCube, and it's fairly obvious that that's the case. And the fact that they're ported to PS2 later, like, Heroes is full of weird glitches where, like, certain springs you can just, like, run through, specifically in the PS2 version. The special stages are even more slippery in the PS2 version. Some loops you can just pass straight through, you know? It's sort of like the later ports of Sonic Adventure, where the team doing the porting for Sega clearly doesn't have the most resources. I currently only own the PS2 version of Shadow, although I would love to get the GameCube version for the streams. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be on the table. The lighting in the PS2 version also seemed a bit off. It's true. certain areas in the PS2 version are a bit darker than they should be, I feel, and on top of that, Shadow, I don't know if this is in the GameCube version, Shadow is really shiny. Like, he looks like he's made of plastic. I don't know if that's the case in the GameCube version, but in the PS2 version, it's very gross looking. Like, I feel like touching Shadow would leave, like, a trail of ooze off of my hand. Granted, that it's definitely not Shadow, so, you know, because, again, that game's not canon. I refuse to acknowledge it as such. They're fairly shiny in all versions. Here, let's see. Let's take a look. Shadow the Hedgehog GameCube versus PS2. I mean, I would assume that the controls are considerably nicer in the GameCube version because the GameCube has that nice notch on the controller that you can set the control stick into. You know, like you can set the controller into a specific notch to hold yourself forward, whereas no other controller in the history of mankind has had that, despite how good of a design it is. Who knows? Maybe Nintendo has like a super patent on that. Well, there's the Heroes engine, GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. Can I find like a direct comparison? I found Out of the Edge. I can probably find videos comparing it, but I'm looking for specifically like some screenshots or something. Hey, Some Call Me Johnny did a review of this game. I might watch that. I don't know. He's not really a fan of the darker Sonic games. Super Pat N64. Yeah, the N64 does have one of those. So it might be just a continuation of the N64's patent, and that's why no one else does it. Although the fact that Nintendo themselves dropped that design later is unforgivable. Specifically with the Wii U gamepad. Because the Nunchuck even had a design like that. Last I checked, Johnny hates Shadow the Hedgehog. I mean, so do I. I'm gonna be totally real. I do not like Shadow the Hedgehog. Where's a Heroes comparison? PS2, Xbox... There's a review by some dude with a custom Sonic sprite that's wearing jeans! Incredible. Shout out to Chief Shadow 1750 for having the best looking OC. Holy shit, clicking on it brings it right up. I gotta show this. I gotta fucking show this. I love corny old Sonic OCs like this. And hey, that's a positive review. I'm always happy to see positive reviews for things. Is he? I doubt he's still going. Most channels like this stopped uploading like years ago. 4 months ago! Holy shit, he's still going! I believe I have found a gem. I mean, granted, don't really know how good any of these videos are. Looks like he stopped for years here. Yeah, there's like a several year gap with things. Still though, I admire the dedication. I really do. I'm gonna continue looking for that, that shade of green reminds me of, Shad Sylvson 11? I should look that up. Looks like an old commentary channel. Is he still around? Yeah, he is. Take a look at his channel real quick. Is he still uploading? It's hard to say. No, last upload was 6 years ago. That's sad. Always sad to see people give up on YouTube, even if the platform is bad. Oh no. The one of the videos I found for the PS2 versus GameCube version of Shadow comparison is from Gligar, the man himself. Again, props to that guy for still continuing to troll people to this day. He's really good at getting fan bases riled up. Let me take a look here. We're gonna mute that. I don't want to accidentally get any of his commentary. Of the that one. There we go. Desktop. So which version is this? GameCube? He's doing this specifically to point out that people who say that the GameCube version is better are wrong. So, Shadow the Hedgehog, version comparison. See if we can, I mean, again, one of the only ones that's coming up is him. I'm finding a lot of weird ones. Oh god. This design is unforgivable. Straight up. The streams started at a point where like no one was really talking about this anymore. They were still doing the redesign, but that design is a goddamn sin against mankind. Yeah, there's no videos of version comparisons out there. Super Shadow is in Lego Dimensions apparently. That's interesting. Yeah, not really a whole lot. Huh. I mean, there's Sonic Riders on GameCube versus PS2, but for whatever reason, I can't find anything about specifically Shadow. I mean, we've got the Heroes version comparisons. You can kind of see Heroes is less than stellar on the PS2. I mean, like, look at this Xbox version. Holy shit, it's running at 60. Real good appreciation for that. Why did this old design make his chest weight? Absolute bootleg. Yeah, it is. The movie design is 100% a fucking bootleg. I'm looking forward to the next movie, when we get Tails and probably Knuckles. They have like a whole Sega intro thing, but yeah, you can see here, back on topic. You can see here that the PS2 version not only just runs worse than the other two versions, but the person is lagging behind them like everyone else considerably here. And that's just because the game not only isn't as fast, but some of the hitboxes are just terrible. There's a specific point. Let's see if they hit this issue. It might be in the second level. It might not be in the first level, so it might not be in this video. One thing I do like is that Heroes seems to be generally well liked in comparison to a lot of other Sonic games. And while I may not have had the brightest opinion of it over the years, I tend to not bring it up because I'm happy to see people just being happy about a Sonic game for once, you know? And whenever Heroes is brought up, like, yeah, there's the occasional douchebag that's like, don't you know that game's bad? But it's like, you know, Heroes specifically doesn't get that as much as, like, Adventure 2 does, you know? Which, again, it's just refreshing to see sometimes. Heroes gets its fair share of, you know, being dragged through the mud, but it's not as bad. Now, when it comes to Shadow, I'm considering actually, now that I've seen that, I'm considering getting the Xbox version. I mean, it can't be expensive. There's no fucking way. It is $5. Incredible. No, I don't want PS2. I want Xbox. Oh, it's $20 on Xbox specifically. I wonder why that is. $30 for in case. I mean, it's probably not a very commonly printed version of the game, so that's why. It's under the impression that Heroes did get a ton of hate. Seen more than one Hero stream in this room basically going on and on about how miserable everything is. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of it. Granted, the people playing the game might be different, but every time like I go into like a Heroes like comment section or like I'm pretty sure even the completionist review of Heroes was pretty positive for the most part. Um, like a lot of people seem to just generally like Heroes, and I remember I've been called out on more than one occasion for not liking Heroes that much. Granted, fair. It had been forever since I'd actually played Heroes, so I was sort of working off of a faulty memory. Of course, seeing the chats where everyone's in agreement with the game being 100% garbage was depressing. That's just the effect of groupthink. That that right there. People are blindly following whatever the streamer says. Uh, Hopefully my chat never turns into that, but, you know. My chat tends to be a Sonic positivity circle jerk. Whether or not that's better, I'd say it's better, honestly, 100%. I'd rather be in a 100% positive environment than, like, a, 100% negative one. So, problem comes if we start dogpiling people for having a separate opinion about the game, which is not cool. And it's something that we, as Sonic fans in general, gotta stop doing. And, like, I don't want to call anyone out specifically, but a good majority of Sonic fans partake in this problem. Um, Sonic opinions tend to they're really volatile. They tend to swing entirely in one direction for entire groups of people or entirely in another, I've noticed. And the fights tend to be just mudslinging on comment sections where both of them meet. Oh, we're dropping frames. We dropping frames? Doesn't say we're dropping any more. I don't know if we're gonna hit any more problems with that. Um, I'll just keep a close eye on the drop frames count. I wish my internet was a bit more consistent. Honestly, hot take here. Saying that most games are 100% garbage is like completely disingenuous. I say most because of course there's outliers. There's like Action 52 on NES or something. But like for a good example is Heroes. Yeah, it's never in between. That's just it. There's never an okay Sonic game. No one lets a Sonic game be okay. The game is either fucking garbage and you get dogpiled for liking it, um, or it's amazing and you get dogpiled for saying anything against it. And oftentimes these games, like, it's the same game. It's like, man, I really like Sonic Unleashed. What? Fucking, what? You like Sonic Unleashed? But the Werehog is so bad, and blah, blah, blah. And man, I really didn't like Sonic Unleashed. And, you didn't like Unleashed? It's kind of like the father of the Boost to Win formula. It's like the best game. And meanwhile, the game's like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, even with the Werehog taken into account, it's like, it's not the best Sonic game, yeah, but it's also not the worst one, you know? Even taking into account the Wii and PS2 version, that version's not great, but it's also not the worst game in the world. I wish this the fan base was less volatile. If I can even call it that. It's no better when people get all defensive about Maria. Oh yeah, no. The one of the biggest schisms I have ever seen in a fan base, and it's almost as big as the classic versus modern sprint in Sonic, like, this same franchise, is the split between people who think the darker plots are good and what make the series great, versus the people who think, no, we don't need darker plots. The darker plots are bad. I prefer things like Colors, and no one prefers Lost World, but like Colors, Colors had a pretty good plot, and it was like comical and fun, and Generations had a decent plot. Oh, Mania, yeah. My point still stands though. I'm leaned pretty far back, and perhaps I need glasses, but I don't really care. Um, but now they're officially one and the same. Congratulations. Put Maria in Sonic Mania. But yeah, no, Mania is another game that gets a lot of volatile opinions about it. Um, People seem to be under the impression that criticizing Mania will stop games like Mania from coming out in the future. Which, like, granted, that has been the case for a lot of Sonic's history. Um, like, you know, people criticized Heroes too much and Shadow too much. Okay, here's 06. We went back to the adventure style. Oh, nobody liked that? Here, we made an entirely new style of gameplay. Boost formula. And then Colors was good and people liked that. And then Generations was like, people were like, it's too short and it's like all boost to win. And people were, Sega was like, fine, here's fucking Lost World. It's something completely different. And people were like, but like Lost World, like it doesn't, it's not that good. And Sega changed it. But the big difference here is that Mania is not developed by Sonic Team. It's developed by a man who's... I am convinced that, I believe his name is Christian Whitehead? I believe that's his name. Don't quote me on that. It's been forever since I've, like, actually paid attention to a splash screen at the beginning of games. It's developed by a man who actually cares about classic Sonic and made the game how he wanted it to, like, go. You know? So, like, criticizing Mania a bit isn't going to cause the whole series to implode. And a lot of Sonic fans seem to be under that impression. That, like, Mania is completely without sin, which, like, it's not, you know? Mania is subject to a lot of old design flaws for its time. Things like a live system that is, you know, lives are just outdated nowadays, personally. Not an uncommon opinion. Most games really don't need them. But I've seen that the people think, you know, it's not quite as, like, even though the game has a flow to it, getting into that flow is a little difficult for first-timers. I was in the depths of the Sonic Tsundere phase. Mania was regrettably a huge target, but even now, I get the feeling about Sega and the fan base is using Mania as a crutch against non-classic Sonic. Oh, yeah. Forces especially. I do not think the game was made for that purpose, just ended up that way. I mean, you look at the sales figures, you know, it's understandable why Sega would feel that way. Sega is ultimately a corporation run by a pachinko business known as Sammy. Hence, they're now Sega Sammy. But they're ultimately a corporation, and they look at the profits, and Mania far outsold Forces. And they didn't take any reason for that into account, you know? And they don't really care about the reason. They just see Mania did well, Forces didn't, so they're probably back to the drawing board right now on Modern Sonic. But, like, I do hate that the game is really propped up against Forces. Like, the games are set against each other super hard. And I don't like that. Both games are good. Unpopular opinion. I like Forces enough. I like Mania. You know? It's kind of sad that the tie-in anniversary game is to the main anniversary title is the one that people liked more, and thus are using it against every modern Sonic game. On top of that, Mania being really accessible, this is another ramble here, Mania being really, really accessible to people, you know, generally the internet reviewer type that, you know, are the people that create and perpetuate the idea that every Sonic game is just bad with no redeeming qualities, it's the same group of people that this game sort of appealed to, you know? People who insist that the classics are better. So it only added fuel to the fire when reviews for Mania and Forces came out and they were inevitably compared against each other. I don't know. I've never been one to see Forces as, like, that bad, and yet when I watched reviews before I ended up getting the game and people were like, this game is fucking terrible, never play it, and like the Game Grumps had a big ass playthrough of it that was like, watched by a bunch of people, and people were like, man, this game's terrible. And then I played it, and it was like 6.5 out of 10, kind of decent, a little railroady, and short. Okay. There's a lot of games in this series that are really not taken super lightly. Or, not super lightly, but like super well. Thing about Sonic Forces, I don't hate it because it seemed to be trying to bring back the actual plot to Sonic games. Yeah, I really liked that. The jokes were sort of at a minimum. They were still there, but it felt a lot darker, and it felt like what I wanted. Granted, we got bait and switched super hard with the marketing for that game. Chaos is back, ooh, and then he dies in cutscene, and that kind of shit. But like, the plot itself felt very dark. The only sad thing is they don't finish the plot. I don't care what anyone says. Infinite had potential, just needed better execution. Yeah, honestly, I've seen... So, it's very obvious this game went through a lot of changes very late in its development cycle. It's very obvious. They probably toned down the plot considerably about 80 or 90% of the way through the development cycle. So there's a lot in the game that just isn't expanded upon. And one of the theories I've seen talked about is that Infinite is actually not alive, sort of. He's more of just straight up like a Phantom Ruby projection, entirely in and of himself. There's so much unused mid-stage dialogue. Yeah. Meanwhile, we still got to keep Green Hill more like Sand Hill, and people laughed about that line being terrible. But yeah, there's like, this theory that Infinite isn't actually alive, and it's propped up entirely by this room towards the end of the game that you have to, like, destroy a bunch of, like, large Phantom Rubies, that are being kept in cages, or, like, these test tubes, and in the middle of the room, I'm pretty sure there's, like, a DNA strand or something. There's, like, some weird thing in the middle of the room that attacks you and shit. Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sonic Adventure sub-game. Yeah. That room, though, like, people are like, that's it. That's Infinite right there. He's just being projected from this room for the whole game. And I'm like, hey, that could have been really cool. That could have been a really good concept. And then they just didn't talk about it. And they yeeted Infinite into oblivion. They never mentioned him. I don't think, like... And then the final boss is the Colors final boss again. But it makes no sense because this game does not have the same setup that the Colors final boss had. Infinite quite literally just ran away. Yeah, he did. Here's my hope, though. So, I don't know how active you are on social media. Clearly, decently active on Twitch here, but, I sort of use Twitter sometimes, occasionally, and the Sonic, like, artists on Twitter, mainly the artists, but also a good chunk of the actual, like, fan base on Twitter, have really picked up Infinite. They like Infinite, like, a lot. And, of course, they also like Buddy, specifically the sort of generic trailer design we got for him. But they like him, and they like Infinite quite a bit. And there's a ton of fan art of them, there's a ton of, like, fan theories about him. There's just a ton of people talking about how much they really liked Infinite. So my hope is that Sega will see this, and they'll be like, okay, people liked Infinite, they just didn't like these aspects of the game, and they'll sort of, into whatever the next Sonic game is, whatever they do next, we don't know. They'll hopefully bring him back and give him, like, a big spotlight. And I'm really hoping that's the case. Because the fact that Infinite, much like Zavok, and mainly Zavok, just the entire Deadly Six, much like they get thrown away to just not have a role in the ending, they did the same thing to Infinite. It kind of hurts. When I saw him blast away, I thought he was headed towards the tower, which seemed like he was going to cause some kind of last-ditch catastrophe before he was defeated good, but no. Yeah, I sort of felt the same way. I didn't know what the final boss of that game was, I just knew that you could reach it in 3 hours. So, heading towards that section of the game, I was like, oh shit, what's gonna fucking happen? Because the ending was, like, really shaping up to be an incredible ending that the series was lacking for years. Generally speaking, the Lost World ending, well, the stakes were there, the writing was not, and the actual, like, gameplay wasn't either. Meanwhile, the the big finale of Forces was cool. And then they just throw away Infinite, and they're like, bam, Eggman fight, do it. It's also the Colors boss. Have fun. This is the third time you've done this. I was really hoping for, like, Infinite to go nuts and pull out all the stops. Could you imagine what a big supersonic Infinite battle would have been like? Can you fucking imagine? That would have been amazing. Especially if they properly developed his character. But no. A lot of that game was sort of, it seems to have been left on the cutting room floor and not really discussed nowadays. And, maybe someday, some, like, developer on the game will come out and be like, hey, this is how it was supposed to go. Sorry that it didn't. But as it stands, they're probably under a bunch of NDAs. I'm curious what they're gonna announce next. We're right on the cusp of an announcement season, E3's been canceled, but it doesn't stop people from announcing anyways. And Sega might have, like, some announcement at some big event, or like attached to someone else's, like, digital press conference if they do one. Make a lot of sense if they did it at, like, Nintendo's press conference. And then also we get, like, a yearly, like, Sonic festival thing, right? Where they, like, announce stuff. I don't exactly know what it's called. Here, let's check out the official channel real quick. No, not the movie. Looking up Sonic the Hedgehog just brings up 1,000,000 of the, like, OSTs. There it is. They had a lot of good build-up. Being in the center of this impossibly huge war zone was perfect. Infinite battles Sonic one-on-one. It was gonna be insane. Yeah, unfortunately, it just kind of wasn't. I will say, though, the Final Zone theme, Final Zone, quote-unquote, the Imperial Tower theme, it's not quite the final Buddy stage, but it's definitely propped up to be, like, the last solo Buddy level, is incredible. And honestly, that entire level's really good. It's just, it suffers from the same problem that the rest of the game has, where it's just really short. We don't really have a whole lot of stuff from the official Sonic channel. They haven't uploaded super consistently recently. The last thing they did that was big, I mean, other than their podcast that they did a shit post for St. Patrick's Day. Though I don't really like how the characters aren't really who they used to be. I did enjoy the couple parts where Tails and Eggman took jabs at each other regarding their technical knowledge. Yeah. If you ask me, since they don't tell us what's canon and what isn't, I can only assume that the jokey games, quote unquote, Colors, Generations, Lost World, and Forces are all in their own canon. Especially, like, the world information we get from those games is completely inconsistent with what we know of the world of the adventure games. So, the planet being mainly populated by the little furry critters as opposed to people. So that leaves, Adventure 2, Heroes 06, and Shadow, not Shadow because it's not canon, totally, but, and Unleashed, all those are, like, in their own canon. But, and in comes Generations where Eggman shatters time itself and screws up anything. Yeah, that might be the breakpoint for the timeline splits, the canon split. I guess it wouldn't make sense for Generations to be in its own canon, because he directly mentions that he, like, recognizes things in Generations that would only exist in this sort of, like, the human world, quote-unquote, timeline. I don't know. Depends, I guess all of this really depends. How canon do you consider Sonic X? Because Sonic X gives us uh, the idea that he can travel between Mobius and, like, Earth. Sonic also references Sacred Rings in that game. No, thank you. Holy shit, I did not know that. Secret Rings reference, but no Black Knight? I certainly hope there's a Black Knight reference somewhere in there. It's been forever. I don't think I've actually paid attention to the story of that game since it came out. Which definitely, by the way, contributes to its short length. Let's see, what is the last, like, big thing that they announced? They did a remix of Can You Feel the Sunshine? They just sort of have this general podcast that goes... Has anyone watched that podcast? Do you know how good it is? Because, like, I know the guy who runs the Sega PR stuff, Aaron Weber, I believe his name is, he's a very interesting dude. Seems to have his heart in the right place for a lot of Sega franchises. And I can definitely see why they put him in his position. Oh shit, it's like 107. I'll probably be ending the chatter section here. Or, about here. Probably go for, like, another 5 minutes or so. Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot from them. Granted, we got Team Sonic Racing, like, last year, I believe. So it's not like the series has been on complete hiatus. It's just no one really played Team Sonic Racing. I own it. I haven't played it. They did a lot of, Forces stuff. Yeah, we haven't seen any announcements recently. Gotta wonder what they're working on. After Tails says the situation is very strange, Sonic says no stranger than fighting genies or saving aliens from an interstellar amusement park. Alright, that's pretty good. It's just like a quick little one-liner to be like, hey, I got that. Oh, the president of Sega Sammy stepped forward and was like, hey, we're very happy that the Sonic movie is out now. I hope that they learned their lesson with the Sonic movie currently, and the next one's gonna be good from the start. Because, I mean, it was written pretty decently. I would say. I'm very excited to see if they expand it into, like, a big cinematic universe. Because when the movie starts, they have, like, this splash screen that's, like, Sega Film or something, and it shows a ton of their games, right? It shows, like, a little bit of, I believe, like, some Sonic games. It shows, Jet Set Radio. It shows Crazy Taxi. It shows, a couple other things that Space Channel 5 is in there. It just has a bunch of Sega games. And while I was sitting there in the theater, I thought to myself, holy shit, if they make movies based around these, I don't know how many people would go see them, but I would be 100% on board. 100 fucking percent. Can you imagine a fucking Crazy Taxi movie that's like sort of shot like a weird serious Fast and the Furious movie, but it's written to be this weird comedy? Like, that'd be fucking incredible. Like, and they even have events they can pull on to be like the big unifying quote unquote movies, like the equivalent to sort of the Avengers films. They can have like, ooh, everyone gets together and then the Sonic Adventure storyline happens, like they have a lot of stuff they could draw on that would be really cool. So I hope that they move forward with that if they ever decide to. I could handle a yearly Sega movie. Maybe even a couple times a year, I don't go to many movies. So oh, cute. On Mother's Day, the Japanese Sonic Twitter account tweeted out here. I'll bring it up. Um, tweeted out this cute image of Cream and her mom, and that's adorable. I like that. Gotta drive a taxi into perfect chaos. Yeah, exactly. Fucking Ulala shooting at it in time with the music. Ew, K-pop is trending. Okay, I saw something that I was like, hey, is this like a game announcement? Because it said Sonic 2 2020, and I was like, oh shit, are they doing something? And no, it's a fucking social distancing joke where they separated the logos for Sonic 2, so Sonic and Tails are 6 feet apart. Yeah, nothing, no big announcements on the Twitter, although there is some nightmare fuel on here. Who knows? Maybe we haven't gotten any announcements because everyone's literally fucking trapped at home. Where the fuck? Sonic Games shows a lot of love to Sega's other IPs. Is actually Sonic Riders. There's a lot to see there, but you gotta unlock it first. Yeah, that's just it. You gotta unlock it first. Riders isn't. It's not great. Granted, it's deep enough to be like a competitive racing game. I'll give it that. It's got a lot of depth. It's got a lot of interest. The problem is the game doesn't teach you any of it. The game just kind of throws you into story mode and is like, there you go. Just do whatever, figure it out. Like, I tried to play through that game, and it took me till like the third race to figure out that boosting lowers your max speed until you get your airflow back. Riders functions, but yeah, it leaves you almost totally in the dark. Exactly. That is a game that expects you to have the manual and study it. And even then, you gotta figure out how to put it into application. There's no tutorials, there's no nothing. There's no, like, overarching, like, here's a way to help you learn it. There's nothing. The menus are pretty bare, there's nothing really of note in them other than the story mode and the versus race, like, section. It does have a tutorial, but it's tucked away in the cutscene room. What the fuck? Why is it in the cutscene room, of all places? I figured, hey, I'll check the one-player menu. Is there tutorial here? No? Okay, what about story? There's no tutorial listed here, unlike, Heroes, where that's where they put the tutorial. I checked, even starting story mode doesn't give you a tutorial. Who the fuck put it in the cutscene room? That is ridiculous. Does it even explain the most confusing thing, the difference between high and far tricks? I don't even know what that means. That's just how bad the game is at explaining everything, I guess. But yeah, For me, it was like a big discovery that how acceleration and top speed worked in that game. And that should not be the case for any racing game ever. Yeah, that game is kind of a complete and total mess, but it was like so close, you know. It was so close to being up the mic, so close to being like something good. Of the like what, 4 games that released on the 2006 like anniversary time period, it is definitely one of the better ones. Like Riders, the two really good ones are Riders and actually no, I think there were only 3 now that I think about it. I don't know, when did Sonic Genesis on the Game Boy come out? Um I mean, there's a crappy Games Wiki entry for it, not that I'm surprised. Oh yeah, no, there was a Sonic game on the Game Boy Advanced in 2006 and it was a shitty broken port of Sonic 1. Unfucking believable. You can't even make this up. Shadow the Hedgehog also has an entry on this wiki. Wow, Sonic Adventure 2. Oh, Sonic Adventure 2 is listed as an awesome game wiki entry. That's pretty nice. Oh, and so is Sonic Rush. That's awesome. Um, they have like little explanations of why each game's good and bad. That's interesting. Um, I'm about to go off on a rant. Hold A and release just as you hit the edge. However, as you release A, you either hold forward to fly farther or hold back to go higher. It's very important to know for getting certain routes and 100% necessary for unlocking Supersonic. I don't even have words for that. Oh. Luckily, we're only doing story mode for Riders, so it's just going to be me trying the same race over and over again, getting very frustrated. Because I cannot win in that game for shit. But hey, as long as someone in the chat's knowledgeable as of that point, that would be wonderful. Yeah, so it's currently 1:16. About to end it off here. Any final thoughts? Any last words? Here's an idea. Actually, I want to try this just before we sign off. What happens if I like move this over here and then I like turn on desktop? You can like kind of see that a little. No, it's not. I'd have to like shrink it down a little more. Like that to get the chat in there. And even then, it's not really the most readable thing ever. I would have to experiment with this to get like a good setup. Um, Thing is, visually, there's very little distinction between the different types of jump. Doesn't even feel different if you're not aware of it. So where you land would feel sort of random. You know what? This'll do. This'll do. This gets the chat in there. And even gives a link to the stream on top. Had this exact experience and it was very frustrating. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Here's, you know what? Last little thing we can talk about before I completely sign off. I would have to do some vetting first. However, I do, in fact, own an Xbox Kinect. And I do, in fact, own Sonic Freeriders. I am considering streaming Sonic Freeriders. It's not set in stone just yet. I'm not being like, yes, Freeriders is happening. Let it commence. Because that game is just honestly a little bit too much. It's a little, fucking horrible. And that's putting it lightly. So if, like, I don't know how necessarily it would work, especially since my headphones are like wired, and this is my only mic. So I would be like jumping around and leaning with a direct wire connected to my body from my computer. So if I like fall over, my computer's donezo. It's gone. It's over. It's finished. And all for a game that doesn't fucking work anyways, and I'd be getting like really sweaty into the microphone. I don't know. Granted, it's not like it has a whole bunch of like physical activity, but there are specific motions of flailing your arms around, trying to get anything to work, and leaning a lot and jumping, and I don't know. I feel like by the end of the stream I would be sweaty. Free Riders is when the general voice cast change. I believe all three of the Babylon Rogues suffered from the switch and their new voices are wrong. Any voice for the Babylon Rogues that is not the fan dub voices is wrong. Because the fan dub voices are fucking incredible. Yeah. One of my favorite fucking scenes in the fan dubs is in Riders where he's just like, I tried to use Redbox once. It started spitting quarters at me. And then what's her name? The pink bird. I don't know her name. Pinkish, purplish, whatever her name is. I know it's Storm the Albatross, Jet the Hawk, and then someone the Swallow, something like that. God, I don't remember her name at all. And I don't think it's really ever brought up in game a whole lot. She's kind of a background character. More so than like any other character. But she's like, her voice actress is so fucking flabbergasted as to what the fuck just happened. What this crazy person just said to her. She's like, "What, you don't put quarters in there?" And then it cuts to a shot of him, like, of Jet getting fucking drowned in coins. I think I heard somewhere that Wave the Swallow's English VA in the first two Riders games also did Blaze voice. Ooh, that's something I can look into. I'd have to get rid of this whole setup here. There. Since we're gonna be ending off soon, anyways, maybe I'll make like a nicer one nicer template that'll allow me to show off the chat here. But let's see. Wave the Swallow, find the voice actors. Wave the Swallow voices. She was voiced by Kate Higgins and Erica Schroeder. So let's see. Kate Higgins did a bunch of roles that are all over the place. She was fucking Pauline in Mario Odyssey. Okay. Sure. It looks like she's the current voice actress for Wave. Maybe not, probably actually as of Free Riders. Blaze. 2011, I have to scroll back way far. Yeah, she was the Free Riders voice actress. 2006. It was 2005-ish that Rush came out. Nope. So it'd be Erica Schroeder, if any. Here, we can just Control F. Blaze. Yeah, Blaze the Cat. She is indeed the Blaze the Cat voice actress as of 2009, so before the voice actor change. Kind of lame that the voice actor change even happened, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of those voices were starting to become, like, iconic. Granted, for all the wrong reasons. The games generally aren't very well liked as of this point. But I don't know, people were liking those voice actors and they changed them. It's especially jarring for certain ones, things like Free Riders, where we see the Babylon Rogues who don't show up a whole lot. Blaze, probably. She doesn't show up like ever, though. When was her last mainline appearance? Wasn't it Generations? Voice casts of all of them seem to have one thing in common: they improve over time. Oh yeah, definitely. Um, the current one has definitely it's grown on people, you know. Um, I remember people were freaking out back when what's his name, Roger Craig Smith, I believe his name is, the current Sonic voice actor. Back when he was announced as like Sonic's new voice actor, everyone was flipping their shit because it was like, oh god, this guy's only other notable voice credits was like a pig from fucking Chicken Little. Oh no. I distinctly remember that being a bit of a controversy. But yeah, no, everyone's sort of grown into their roles, except for the characters that don't show up very often. Here, Sonic Generations Blaze. Does she show up? Um, yeah, she does. She's the, '06 rep. Of all the games to have Blaze represent. Granted, that's like her only mainline appearance, which, god, that hurts to think about. But still... God, that really is Blaze's only mainline appearance. Oh, God. I mean, at least she steals the show in that game. She has the most fun gameplay and, by far, the best character other than Silver. Yeah, it's getting real late, so, probably gonna end the stream off here. Again, any final thoughts, any last words, anything, I think that's a wrap. All right, yeah. We are probably good to end it off here. So yeah, thank you for watching. Generally discuss what's coming up next. Saturday night we are doing Castlevania Legends, and then we'll be continuing with Castlevania from there, and then on next Tuesday we'll be finishing up 3D Blast. So yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight. Thank you for showing up and watching me give everyone motion sickness. And yeah, I hope to see you next time for a Castlevania game that people don't like. So yeah, good night.